All right, hey Tommy, welcome. We are at Ignite 2024.
In person, man.
We did it. That's fun. We've been helping and volunteering out a lot here recently. It's been super fun. There's some announcements that have been made. We'd love to kind of comb through the announcements and our initial reactions to those main announcements. Give us some topics here.
First, I love conferences.
It's fun.
And I love swag. Thank you, little buttons that do stuff.
Tommy just wants to be running around as an expert. He thinks he's an expert
I'm wearing this after the conference. But Mike,
your wife will not really acknowledge
I'm going to give it to her.
Yeah, she's the expert. Let's be real here.
Yeah. I love conferences, and honestly, this has been one of my favorite conferences I've been to in a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Ignite before?
I've actually not been to Ignite. I've been to Build. I've been to Business Applications.
Okay.
But Ignite's been awesome, and there's 3 really major announcements that we're just going to react to.
Yeah, let's talk to them.
We'll just kind of cover the high level. Fabric databases, real-time intelligence is generally available.
GA.
And then the OneLake data catalog.
Okay.
This is going to keep us busy for months. But let's start with the Fabric databases.
Okay, so Fabric database. So the SQL team has now brought a SQL database directly into Fabric. It's a single button press, turn it on,
create a database.
Straight SQL database right there. So I'm very excited about this one. This is a transactional processing system being brought directly inside Fabric. This is a new kind of space. There's been nothing else that's you can mirror things, you can get things from other places. Our main challenge has been with Fabric is we have data, we need to be able to operate on that data. Where do we bring those transactional data systems? And this seems really interesting. There's a huge feature list of parity, not parity. By default, if you want to get SQL data out of the SQL server and move it over to the Lakehouse, it automatically does mirroring out of the box.
Yeah.
It's like a one-button click. I'm really excited about that. So that's really cool.
No, and I think this is one of the more major updates that we've heard in a while, even with all of the updates we've heard from Fabric.
Yes.
Because Microsoft has been telling us this is a SQL server. This is a SQL database as you would get if you were subscribed with Azure resources.
Love it.
So that is significant, and I personally can't wait to try this out, not just for normal processes. One of the other updates they said is this integrates seamlessly with the Azure AI Studio.
So this has been another message of the whole conference. There's a ton of Copilot, a ton of AI. Every booth is talking about Copilot or AI. And so there's a lot of story and fabrication around the SQL and using SQL for AI. There's this vector search that comes with it. It's being built into the product. It's very easy to call these things. So vector search is kind of a unique AI search pattern that you would use for inside SQL or structured data to get to AI things, which will be interesting. I don't know how to use it yet, but I need to learn more there. There's a lot of new stuff. All right, next topic.
So the next one is, I think we'll kind of touch, is Fabric real-time intelligence.
Yes.
Generally available.
That's good. I'm very happy about this.
Yeah, so we can cross it off our kill it or complete it list.
Well, let me give you. So if you're using event hubs, right? So I saw some diagrams. There's a short. I'm not sure if we're going to put it out yet, but I have a video of Tommy playing on the Fabric. We might put it out.
We'll keep it offline.
We'll see. It was pretty funny. So they have built a AI or a Forza is the game. So you can go race cars on Forza, and it sends data from the Xbox to a real-time dashboard where they're actually looking at your speed, position on track, GPS location in the game, like all these really cool data sensor things, and it's being streamed through real time. They're hooking the architecture up to event hubs, which is not a Fabric thing, and then going into stream analytics, which is right inside Fabric. So I love it. I think it's good. If you already have event streams you're already using, I think it makes a lot of sense for you. I'd like it to be a bit more open. I really want webhooks to be supported with the streaming event things, so I could just have the event stream accept webhooks.
And you feel like it's getting there. Honestly, the biggest thing I was impressed with the whole setup, outside of obviously how are they doing this, is really the interface that they showed, because they had 2 giant screens that were showing Fabric. And it was basically like a dashboard plus.
It was.
It was showing, because they had 2 different cars racing at the same time, so you could compare your laps versus who you're actually driving against. How the visual representation of this is. This is what I think we've always wanted a dashboard to be.
Well, and I think, where's the use case? Okay, this is a fun use case. It was cars, the video game, and it's streaming data out of the game. Fine. But where do we actually see this in like real world? And then the examples I talked with the people at the booth was, they're talking a lot about like manufacturing, real-time stuff that's happening right there. You have a line, you're producing things in a manufacturing line. There is sensors and machines all the time making data. this is an opportunity for us to send that information directly from machine right to our Power BI dashboard, so you can actually make decisions faster than you would before. So I really like it.
1,000%. And I think this is going to be big too for a lot of people with IT security that have real-time intelligence.
Agreed.
I think they're making this more and more seamless.
Yeah, agreed.
So I think probably the biggest announcement outside of databases, which again is a conversation we were going to continue to have, is this new concept or new feature called the OneLake catalog.
All right, and this is interesting. I'm going to talk. We need to unpack this a bit.
Yeah, so it's kind of 2 in 1. We've had the OneLake Hub.
Yes.
Which used to be called just the Data Hub.
Yes, correct.
And it was fine. You know, you want to search for an artifact or an item, but it did feel a little convoluted, a little separate from everything else. So what they've been trying to do, and I think Microsoft has realized, is, well, we want to have a seamless experience with a single artifact that you're looking at. For example, if I'm looking at a semantic model or a lakehouse in the OneLake Hub, if I want to go to the refresh, if I want to go to the dependencies, if I want to go to any of the other items,
yes,
it's a new tab. I'm brought out of the experience.
Yeah, okay, yes.
So what they've done with the OneLake Hub, or the OneLake catalog, I should say.
Yeah, we're changing it a little bit now.
Is one, the interface is completely changed.
Oh,
it's seamless to choose an artifact, any artifact.
Yes.
And there's tabs, which I love. But it's really, I can look at a single artifact, and I can stay in the OneLake catalog, look at the refresh schedule, look at the dependencies, look at, there's a few other items in there from a governance point of view.
Sure.
That is really amazing. The other side that we'll dive into is also this idea of OneLake governance that is also seamlessly built into this. Yes. So how do we unpack this?
Well, so as we bring more data, and again, I'm looking at this from like maybe a bit of an outsider's perspective, right? I'm looking at this from an outsider's perspective. I'm trying to understand what are all the data that I'm bringing to my Fabric environment, right? I could have a SQL server with tables in it. I could have a lakehouse with tables in it. I could have a data warehouse with tables in it. So, you know, there's the system, right? It's a SQL, it's a data warehouse, it's a lakehouse. But then underneath it, there's tables and columns. And I think this is what's going to give us a better lens on all that. So one of the demo pieces I saw that was very intriguing to me was, if you label the server or the database of the server saying this is confidential data, it will automatically label every single table as the same label for confidentiality for your data integrity and making sure there's no data egress.
Awesome. Right.
Which that means all your policies are applied if you don't want to download. So that's a big implication here for, we're going to make a lot of tables. There's going to be a lot of data sources across many parts of the organization, and having a single pane of glass to do the management of all those. One thing I didn't quite see yet, but I'm be curious to see where we're going to get there. So I'd like to understand usage, right? A lot of this thing is around data discovery. A lot of companies struggle with, I don't know what data I have. If I have, for example, a semantic model, what are the dimensions of it? What are the other places where does that stuff live? And then how do I identify what do I need as a business user of those data sources or tables, so I don't recreate something, right? If we're producing product master and other data points that is the truth of our company, we want everyone using the same table all the time. So I think this is a great place for discovery as well.
And I think that's one of the biggest parts here, where it's hard right now in Fabric to try to, again, get a grasp of all the artifacts and all things being created. So the interface alone and how they're realizing they need to organize is huge. This other side is the governance concept that they're putting in here, which is different than what we've talked about before. It's usually the admin portal and tenant level settings.
Sure.
I can go to this governance in the OneLake catalog now, and I get recommendations if you ever create an Azure service or resource. It says, oh, here are some of the best practices. Here are some recommendations we say for you.
Sure.
And we actually have actionable items that we can do. For example, I'll go to the governance catalog, and it says, hey, we noticed that 30% of your items have descriptions. You should have descriptions. We noticed that none of your items actually are in a folder or organized in a domain. So it actually gives you what items those are, what percentage in your tenant are, which I think is huge because we've never had that before.
This is we're working with clients a lot that talk about data quality. So if you think about data quality, it's a quality of the columns, the tables, and the data that's inside those columns. Hey, this column shouldn't be null. This column shouldn't have any blanks. This column should have only numbers, no text. So there's things that the notebooks in Python give us to that degree, but this is actually a layer higher, and I think also would be very relevant for, we have different quality between promoted and certified data sets. So this should also give us some more indication, like we should be able to run a report, or hopefully get out a report here at some point, where we could say, let's look at all the certified content we have and make sure everything is described, has good column names and good table names, because that's going to be essential for a requirement for us to say our content's good. And it's just going to hopefully drive more adoption because people understand how to use it.
And it's a big collaboration part. The way the interface is in the UX, I imagine this being part of Center of Excellence meetings. Actually looking at that. And that's what I love about that,
It should be a dashboard. It should be like a dashboard of this information.
Exactly.
Like, where are we at this month? What are we at the quarter? And that should be tied to your KPIs and OKRs of your organization.
Right.
Because I'm going to argue that you could have 100% data quality all the time, but it's going to take a lot of effort on the team to make sure it's really clean all the time. So my argument would be is maybe you decide 95 or 90% is legit for your business to run the system. Standard, right? So if we dip below that, okay, pause development of new things. Let's go clean up some process, clean up our data, right? Once we hit that threshold, now we can move forward and say, okay, great, we've met 90% on a business as usual.
Yeah. So again, these are just the high level things. We've had SQL databases. They're calling them Fabric databases, but it's a database.
Fabric,
again,
SQL database.
And it's a full database. This is not a preview version or a diet version. It's a database.
Yes.
Real-time intelligence, OneLake catalog. Mike, out of everything you heard, what's kind of your final thoughts and what stood out to you the most?
Workloads. But of the three topics that, sorry.
Tell me more.
Sorry, we'll hit that one later. Of the three topics that you mentioned though, which one stands out to me the most? I think from my impact of daily work, I think right now for business users, if you're coming purely from the Power BI space, I think I would argue the data catalog is potentially the most impactful thing to your daily day job. SQL databases are more, I think, feel like DBAs, transactional systems. So I think that's a good thing that we're having it come to Fabric, but I'm not sure that's going to be the first thing that Power BI business users are going to be, yes, let's jump onto this. So I think that's my data cataloging. I think is going to be a very good strength for organizations to understand how much data, what's the quality of their data, and I think that's going to be the most impactful thing. My only other final thought here is this is about the time where we had the 1 year anniversary of Fabric. So Fabric is now 1 year old, and I think we talked in the podcast a little earlier about this, like, what does that look like? How is Fabric going to evolve in a year? And I said, look, it's coming out brand new in November of 2023. And I was like, give it some time. It's going to need to mature a little bit. And here we are. I feel like we're seeing month after month, big feature, metric sets, data catalog now, like all these really rich features. And I think this is what we needed to get to, but they needed to solidify the platform a little bit in the beginning of the end of 2023, early 2024. And now we've solidified, now we're seeing the new features come out, and things are really ramping up. So I'm very excited for the future. I think we're in a very exciting space. I think this data is going to be very accessible to lots of people. So this is traditionally held only by IT BI shops. I think what I'm seeing right now is this is the democratization or taking the ability for anyone to make data. It's really coming true. 100%. This is really the ability for anyone to make data and make some really impact with their business. So this is a really, like if you're just doing Excel and things today, you really have to seriously look at Fabric. The story is super compelling right now to go beyond just Power BI reporting. So what's your final thoughts?
Before I do, I think you need to tell the good people that you're one of three right now in a particular area. You can just high level it, but I think that's well worth it to say.
So we are proud to announce PowerBI.tips has released our own workload. So if you have built theme generation stuff in the past, if you build Power BI pages with us with our wireframing tool, we've rebranded our tool. We're now calling it Power Designer, and we're going to release our own workload so you can now build your theme file, make pages, use a gallery of pre-designed templates. I would argue to say we are probably the largest community-based templating system that you can find anywhere for Power BI. And it all works inside Fabric. So the idea is you use our workload, you can build all these things, and you can even preview your existing reports with your theme file on top of them.
So cool.
Which is wild. So many more features to come. That's why I said my favorite feature is workloads, because we've been working like a dog to get this Power Designer out.
So if you missed it, one of the keynotes, What's News with Fabric, they had all the giant companies. There's the Power BI Tips logo because they release it on time. So we're to go to the developers. I'm sure you work them hard.
So it's been a lot of hard work. I gotta really admit that the team has worked really feverishly hard to get everything out. We're also looking for a lot of feedback. We have a GitHub page that will let you add issues or feedback or comments around our workload. So we really want to build something the community likes to use. And we're going to try and keep as much of it as free as possible. It's right now in preview, so everything's open. You can render everything. You can do everything for free. We're looking at some other feature enhancements that might change in the future, but right now it's full open. Everyone can go check it out. I encourage people to go look at the tool and see how it works with their workflow about building great design reports.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I love that.
Is that your best highlight?
Yeah, I mean, it's up there. It's up there. So honestly, for me, I think the biggest thing is, and I actually sent out a message once we were doing the major keynote, is this is why I love my job and I love what we do, is because these conferences and all these major announcements change what I do on a almost on a bi-monthly basis.
It does. It really does.
And I love that.
It's exciting.
Yeah. Listen, our job is basically learning how to learn.
Truly.
And all these new things coming out. I mean, this is the first time at this conference where I see Fabric, and I'm recommending it to people. I'm recommending it to clients. We're actually seeing this actually makes more sense than anything else right now.
Yeah.
And I'm loving that. But databases, I'm really excited for too.
Okay, database is your thing.
Database is my thing.
I know you do a lot of work with Power Apps and SQL databases in general. That's what you integrate with.
Seamless.
Your business runs on that kind of stuff. So that'll be very interesting to see what you build, Tommy, with. Now you don't have to buy an Azure database. You can just move right over to Fabric.
Well, and that integration with Azure AI Studio, what we're doing there too is incredible. There's a standard connector there. Maybe that's what I'm excited about all of it. I mean,
so we'll talk in a future episode or something around the Azure Studio.
Yeah.
But there's another whole world of
agents
and co-pilots and things that are also being announced here at the conference. So we also love that as well. But we're going to focus primarily on the Power BI and the Fabric updates for this one. So with that, thank you very much for listening. We really appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed these updates. We'll try and link all the articles that we found or topics around this specifically in the description of this video. Check it out. Make sure you like and subscribe for more updates from Power BI Tips. Cheers.